Hi, my name is Lisa Carr, and I am the founder of Insight to Potential and the 5-Day Parent Leader Challenge. Welcome to your first day of the challenge, and I'm so excited that you can be here with me. Today, our hot topic is about how to actually talk to your child about school without getting the, okay, it was fine, fine, mom, I don't know, same as always kind of answers. I'm going to teach you how you can speak to your child about school and actually get some real answers. But first, let's talk about why it's important to ask your child about school. First of all, what you need to know is that talking to your child about school each and every day shows your child just how much you care about them and how important school is. It's really critical for their self-esteem, and it's critical for them to know that you value education and that you care about their well-being and how they're doing. It makes them feel important, it makes them feel loved, and it makes them feel like you're taking time just to talk to them about the things that matter to them that happen throughout the course of their day. It shows that you value the school, your child's teacher, and what's happening. And it also helps you to understand exactly what's going on and the expectations that are required of your child at school. And sometimes this isn't always obvious through, newsletters and communication. Kind of gives you an overall sense. But what I'm really speaking to here is not necessarily how your child's school looks like from a principal's perspective via a newsletter, or from a teacher's perspective via classroom news or a blog or some kind of communication that they're issuing. But asking about your child's day gives you insight as to how your child perceives the school experience for themselves. And it helps you to understand and to know how they are perceiving the expectations of that particular school year, how they're perceiving homework, friendships, group work, teamwork, all of those different things that really comprise the wholeness of your child's school day. And it allows you perspective and insight based on your child and not necessarily from a classroom teacher or from a principal's perspective. Because what's important is you want to keep an eye on how your child is feeling and experiencing their school. And their classroom, the friendships and their teacher, relationship with their teacher and relationship that they have with their work, so that you can catch any little problems and nip them in the bud before they grow into something that is very difficult to manage. And that's all done through communication. Now, I have some strategies that you can use that have proven to be pretty effective in terms of getting your child to open up. The first part really has to deal with children that are probably in the grade range of, say, kindergarten through to grade 6. And the strategy is different for the older children, and we'll speak to that in just a few minutes. But the first set of strategies really have to do with those first few years of school, where you're really asking your child each and every day how they're doing. And, the typical, okay, fine, it was good. Really that's not going to give you a lot of information. However, it's kind of hard to blame your child. If I was to ask you how your day was and, you were to try and summarize or add up all the different things that have happened to you, all the different people that you've seen, all the different experiences that you had, and sum it up in a single sentence, chances are your response back to me is probably going to be, okay, fine, good, same as usual, with not a lot of detail. So my first recommendation is to allow your child to decompress. Your child is really no different than you are. When you're coming home from a day at work, chances are, if you're anything like me, you probably want to get in the door, get your shoes off, drop your bags, go to your bedroom, change into something a little bit more comfortable, maybe take your hair down, maybe wash your face. You want to have some private time just to kind of decompress before you enter into the next phase of things that have to get done, like dinner and so on. You really don't want to be bombarded with, well, how was your day and what did you do and how did that happen, and all that line of questioning as you're coming in through the door. Your child's really no different. They are probably going to come home hungry. They're probably going to be a little bit tired, and they're going to need some time to decompress. So give them that time, give them that space, and allow them just to acclimatize to being at home, getting comfortable, and just kind of shaking off the school day and getting back into their normal routine that happens at home. The second thing that I would certainly recommend is to use your parental spidey senses in terms of your child's mood. We all have good days, we all have bad days, and we have those in between. Use your intuition, look at your child, look at their body language, their facial expressions, how they're answering simple questions, and kind of get an idea as to whether or not it's a good time to probe your child about what's happening in their school day. If they look frustrated, mad, angry, it's probably not a really great time to talk about their schooling day. It may cause an argument where there doesn't need to be an argument. So I would probably want to wait in those circumstances to dig into the reasons behind some of the frustration or anger that they might be experiencing. Perhaps it's fatigue. Again, giving them that time to decompress and using your parental spidey senses or your intuition about how they are feeling as they're coming through the door when they get home. The next thing that I would recommend is not asking huge, complicated questions. Just keep it simple. And when you're asking questions, make sure you're asking those simple questions at a time where your child is distracted, perhaps by an activity. Maybe they're helping you set the table for dinner. Maybe they're helping you make the supper. Maybe you're playing a game. Maybe they're doing a video game. Maybe they're shooting some hoops outside, or you're taking the dog for a walk. Whatever the case may be, during those busy times where your child doesn't necessarily feel like they're being actually put on the spot to answer those questions for you, is probably a really good time to ask some very basic questions. What was the best part about your day today? Who did you get to play with at recess time? What games did you play? What was something super special that you're proud of that you want to share with me that happened to you today at school? And certainly you don't have to ask all of those, but certainly just keeping it simple, open-ended, so that they have an opportunity to provide you with something more than just, yep, good, fine, okay, nope, yep, yeah, will allow you to have some insight into your child's day. And then if your child is experiencing difficulties at school and they do open up, the best thing for you to do is to be quiet. Just listen. And while you're listening, just kind of take in all of what your child's experiencing. Be sure not to be critical of your child's teacher or your child's school. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't show frustration and anger. Just stay neutral and non-judgmental. That will allow your child to feel like you are someone that they can entrust with their emotions, with their feelings, and with their day-to-day experiences. And it's also a perfect time for you as a parent to kind of interject your values and your experiences as it may pertain to some of the issues your child is experiencing or learning how to deal with as part of their schooling experience. For example, what friendships mean and what it looks like, how to work as part of a team and what to do when the team's not working together. What do you do when you're experiencing problems at school and you don't know the answer? How do you ask questions of a teacher when you're feeling stuck or embarrassed? You know, all of those different kinds of things that you have experience with, to kind of teach your child, coach your child through some of those issues that they're bringing to the table or that they're bringing to you, as part of the experiences that they're having at school, and instilling in them the value of maintaining their own personal voice, making choices, and giving them the strategies that they can use to help solve problems on their own when they go back to school the next day. Very, very important. However, these strategies work really well when you're dealing with children that are a little bit younger. Once children start getting into grade 7, grade 8, and then into high school, my recommendation for you is going to be a little bit different, only because children at this age, they really want their independence away from mom and dad, and they want a sense of privacy. They don't necessarily want mom and dad prying into their business. And so what really needs to happen here in terms of strategy is just letting them know that you're always there for them. You have an open door policy, that they can share with you anything and everything without getting in trouble. Just being open and being connected and letting them know that you're there for them if and when they do choose to talk or want to share something with you. If you are asking questions about school, I would try and stay away from anything that's friend related, boyfriend, girlfriend, groups of friends. Anything interpersonal, I would kind of steer clear of that until the child is ready to discuss those particular issues, and kind of stay curriculum focused. So for example, you might want to talk about things like, hey, you've been working on that web page for quite some time. How's it coming along? Did you enjoy that? Is that something that you are still considering doing when you go into the future? And so into a future job or into, post-secondary education. And so you just want to keep it on that neutral kind of platform. It'll still provide that insight and open up some dialogue with your child about what's happening at school without necessarily going into that private boundary space that your child is trying to establish at this point in time in their lives. Big, huge red flag for grade 7, grade 8, and secondary school students is when they want to shut you out completely. They don't want to answer your questions. They refuse to answer any of your questions, even as mundane as, the kind of math that they're working on or a certain project that they're working on. That should be a huge red flag to you. If this is what is happening, you need to get some help before any kind of problems grow too big. So that might mean talking to other adults. So maybe contacting the school and talking to your child's teacher. It could be talking to a vice principal, a student counselor, a guidance counselor, or your student support strategy teacher, whoever the adults are. Please, the very last thing you ever want to do as a parent is go to your child's friend to find out, a friend or friends, to find out what's going on with your child. They will see that as a major violation of their privacy. It will probably be uncomfortable for the child that you're asking, and puts them kind of in a difficult position. So you really want to stick with the adults, and then you want to keep a close eye on what's happening and continue to reinforce that open door policy and being non-judgmental when your child comes to you with some information that may or may not necessarily be the information that you want to receive. And so I'll just share this really quick little story with you. My son is in grade 6, and for me, I didn't get to go to a school dance until I was in grade 10. Now they have community dances that start at grade 6, at grade 6, 7, and 8. Personally speaking, I feel that's far too young. Maybe I'm old school, maybe a little bit on the traditional side. But when my son told me that he was going to a dance, I thought I was going to die. Really and truthfully, I did. I thought I was going to die, and I didn't know what to do. But I kept my cool, and I just asked some really simple questions like, oh, how did you hear about the dance? And who's going? And, what are you going to do when you get there? And, how are you getting there and how are you planning to get home? And, just some really basic information. And I just kind of let it be. And then the next day, I went back and I shared with my son some of the feelings that I had around him going to the dance. And so I did let him know that it certainly wasn't something that I was thrilled about as a parent. However, I would support him so long as that certain guidelines that we could co-create were going to be put in place. So, for example, how long he was going to be there, who he was going to be with, how he was getting there, how he was going to be getting home, how he was going to be communicating with me, and what he would do if he encountered any difficulties while he was at the dance. And instead of blowing up, instead of being judgmental or critical of something that he wanted to do, really negotiating my feelings versus his feelings and co-creating the boundaries and the rules that we were both comfortable with really helped us in terms of keeping an eye on the situation, allowing for some freedom with the boundaries that I felt were acceptable. And so I've kept those lines of communication open with him as a result, and it was something that turned out really well. So just a simple recommendation to you when your teenager comes home with some of those things, some of those tough topics that you may not necessarily be prepared for, that you never thought you'd ever have to hear as a parent, but just keeping your cool, being in a place that's non-judgmental, and you don't necessarily have to come to a conclusion when your child is talking to you, and you are allowed to have your feelings, but you can spread that out over a period of days so that you can kind of get yourself used to the information that's coming your way. Maybe journaling about it or allowing, speaking to some friends about it so that you can get out or hash out your feelings before going back to your child, so that you don't damage or break any bonds or bridges with them and they shut down and won't communicate with you at all. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell for today around talking to your children about their school day. Very, very important. It's a critical part of their life. They're going to be in school for a minimum of 15 years for at least 6.5 hours of the day and interacting with a variety of different people. So it's your job as a parent to make sure that you're asking those questions, showing interest in your child, in their day, and keeping those lines of communication open so that eventually down the road, when there are those big things that they want to share with you, you've built up that trust relationship with them and that bond with them that they can come to you with anything, regardless of how difficult it may be to hear as a parent. And so thank you for joining me on day 1 of the 5-day challenge. After this particular video, I'm going to have a post for you to engage in. I have a couple of questions for you, and there's going to be a fantastic prize for one of you who's engaging in the post. So thanks very much for watching. I can't wait for you to check in on day 2 and check out the video that's coming up for you. And I can't wait to see your comments online. And we'll announce the winner of those really cool prizes probably tomorrow after your day 2 video. So thanks for signing up. Thanks for watching the first day's video. And also don't forget, if you have friends or family or anybody else that you want, it's not too late to see some of these videos and join in some of the conversation and the fun. It's not too late for them to sign up. Just have them go into the Facebook group, the Parent Leader Facebook group. I'll make sure to approve them right away and we'll get them started and they can get caught up on the videos and be able to participate as well. Until next time, thanks very much for showing up, coming out, and we'll see you soon.